Hey everybody, let's take a look at how to work with patterns here inside of Photoshop. And there's some pretty interesting things that you can do when it comes to a pattern. Here's one that I've downloaded from istockphoto.com. It's one image that has several patterns inside of it. And what you can do is Photoshop is you can take part of this image and you can save a portion of it as a pattern. And not only is it just a pattern, but it's a repeatable pattern due to whoever created these little squares here. They made them so they would be repeatable, so they'll tile very well next to each other. Alright, so the first thing that you need to do is define the pattern in Photoshop. You need to tell Photoshop that I want to make this a pattern. In order to do that, take your rectangular marquee tool and pick whatever image or whatever you're going to create the pattern from. I'll use this bottom middle one right here, and I'm just going to hold the shift key down and create a pattern, or a selection around this pattern, I should say. Okay, and after you make that selection, and it's going to be square because obviously you want this to be a repeatable pattern or a seamless pattern, so it's going to be square. If I scroll in and I zoom in on this, you'll see here that I have now selected this one square. So now we go up to the edit menu and we go down to define pattern, and this tells Photoshop that we want to make this into a pattern that it should save. So here I've got the option to name it, and I'm going to give it some type of a descriptive name. Here I'll just call it retro pattern and hit OK. So nothing really changes here other than this image, this pattern, is now saved in Photoshop's pattern list. Now if we were to go over to a blank image here, all I've got is just one blank document. Alright, and on the background layer, I'm going to just select that layer. I'm going to go to the edit menu and I'm going to choose fill. Inside fill, under content, you're going to have a few different options, one of them being pattern. So if I choose pattern, I'll get my pattern list here. You can see custom pattern. If I click, I see all the patterns that are available in Photoshop. If you look at the very last one, there it is, retro pattern. That's the one that I just created here, so I'll click on that one. Incidentally, if you click on that little pop-out menu, you can see there's a bunch of other pattern sets that are available in here, so you might want to check them out. But we'll leave and just stick here with just the pattern that I defined earlier. So there's our pattern. I'm going to click OK and watch what happens. There, just like that, Photoshop filled that image with the repeatable pattern. Okay, and because of the nature of the pattern and the way I selected a perfect square around it, and it was defined to be a seamless pattern, you can see here that you don't see any seams inside of it. It all flows together nicely as Photoshop stitches one piece next to the other piece, and so on down the line. And from there, it's a regular layer. You could do whatever you needed to it. You could change the color, run any adjustments on it, or any type of brushing, any of the fun things that you can do to a regular layer. And then finally, I just had some text right above it for the word retro. So there you have it, some very cool ideas that you can use when you're creating things inside of Photoshop. You can define an image as a pattern, and then you'll always have access to go and fill a layer or fill basically anything with that pattern later on.